Hello, welcome to The Wandering Drew. I am Drew. What I'm going to do today is go through my gear and my pack setup for my upcoming hike on the C&O Chesapeake and Ohio towpath, which I'm going to undertake later this month, which is June of 2021, and I'll be going from Washington, D.C. or Georgetown to the end of the towpath, which is 185.5 miles to the northwest in Cumberland, Maryland. For this trip, I changed my setup a little bit. Most of my main gear stays pretty much the same, but I made some modifications because, once again, I'm trying to do as light as possible within reason without getting fanatical. But this will be the first time that I'm traveling on an airplane to get to my trip. So packing my gear and having to check that bag is a concern. So I have to be careful about what I put in it and also be as efficient as possible. Also, when I get there, because I'm not going to have a rent-a-car or a place to store anything, everything I take with me has to be carried for the whole trip. It's something different for me to do. That being said, some items you're allowed to carry on the plane but not put into baggage. And there are some items that you can't carry on the plane no matter what, whether it's in baggage or in a carry-on bag. So one of the items mostly that I'm concerned about is fuel for my stove. You're not allowed to bring any fuel on the plane in a gas can or gas canister, whether you check it or you stick it on a carry-on and carry it with you. So I'll be getting that item when I get to Washington, D.C. I'm just going to go through the video now, showing some of the gear and how I'm packing. The first setup is for travel, and I'll get into that a little bit, but I'm going to have to carry some stuff carry-on, and it can't go in the bag. So most of my expensive gear or my electronics or personal stuff, like obviously my wallet, money, ID, cash like that, any electronics, I am going to bring my GPS with me for tracking just in case. But because I'm checking the bag, you have to be careful to not have anything on these straps. And Z-Packs, now this is a Z-Pack pack obviously, and they make a airline carrier that I'm going to be using, and I'm also going to use as a liner for my pack once I arrive there. So I took out the normal liner I would use and I stuck that on the inside now. I'm going to unpack my pack now, and then I'll show you what it'll look like when it's packed for travel, which is how I'm going to leave it. So on the outside of the pack, I have items generally that I think I may need while walking and I want to have quick access to. Because this is one big pocket, it's not very conducive to getting stuff if you need it. The pack itself, the only changes I made to it is I took off both carriers that I had here that had pockets on both straps that you could put a water bottle or an item in. I took them both off, saving me about an ounce of weight or so, maybe an ounce and a half. So I feel I'm not going to be needing them. I'm not going to put a water bottle in here. It's too heavy. I don't want to bother with it. And I feel I'll use the pockets on the side to carry the water. As I said, on the outside, it's items that I want to have access to while I'm walking during the day. So in case it starts raining, I have my rain jacket, my Outdoor Research Helium 2. I have a set of rain pants that I'm carrying. I have never used them yet, but if it's extremely rainy and wet for a long day, and it's a little windy, you don't want to get cold or chilled, and you want to try and stay dry as possible. So I'll be bringing that as well. Even though I don't know if I'll need it, I am going to take my potty kit just in case there is an occasion that I am in between campsites or bathroom and I have to use facilities, or maybe I get somewhere and they don't have a bathroom accessible. Right now, I believe everything is open and unlocked as things are loosening up in terms of restrictions. But just in case, I want to have the ability to go. And if they're out of toilet paper, I definitely want to have some. So I'm planning this. I probably don't need it, but it's not that heavy and it's good to have. I will be bringing my water filter. I'm not anticipating having to go into the Potomac to get water. However, I do want to be able to filter water from the spigots. I'm assuming they're potable, but I've heard they taste pretty bad. So that takes care of the outside pocket. As usual, in my front pockets, I'll generally carry stuff I want throughout the day. So on the left side, I don't believe I put anything in here now. I just have a rag to clean a lens or my glasses. On the right side, I generally carry The left side usually I use for snacks and food throughout the day, so that's usually what's in there. On the right side, I have usually a little knife, which I'm not going to be taking this time. I think I took it out already. I'm going to carry a bigger knife, but I generally carry my headlamp. I have my spork in here, so because I don't want it poking a hole in the pack itself, so I carry it in here because this is a little tougher. And I have some of my Wandering Drew stickers that I'll be carrying in there. Sometimes I put my MP3 player in here, which I am going to be bringing. Makes the day go by, sometimes listening to a podcast or music. And I'll also put the headphones in there as well. So that's it from the outside that I have. I'm still carrying a little light, just in case. I can turn it on to brighten up my tent and not use my headlamp as much. It uses minimal. And I also have a TSA approved lock for when I lock this up to put it into the plane and travel with it. So that's the outside. Getting into the inside, and something unique that I'm doing this time is I am carrying a large amount of food, which is why my bag is so heavy. Currently, this bag, all my gear is about almost 27 pounds, 26.9 pounds with all the gear. That's without water. Water I'm going to buy when I get there. I can walk into any store and purchase a bottle of water. So I'm not going to carry that on the plane, obviously. This is my food bag. And it's a little bit excessive. I'm carrying food for the majority of the trip. This is my food bag. It weighs 8.9 pounds. I have a lot of food in here. I have a couple of snacks that are going to last me throughout. Each day I have generally something for breakfast, which is usually either a bar or peanut mix, like trail mix. I usually have some sort of like sports beans, so I get some sugar and caffeine with that. And then in a couple of days I have some of the gels, it's like caffeine gels, they're sugar gels, like an energy gel, and it has a flavoring, whether it's like coffee or I think one of them is Coke flavored. I bought them a while ago. I have them. I'm trying to use a lot of the stuff that I've acquired over the last year or two. So I have actually meals for 12 days in here. I'm anticipating to eat out a couple of times. And I think personally, as it goes along and that's available, I'll probably use it more. But there are some large stretches where there is not available food all the time, or it's off the trail and I'm not going to feel hopefully like walking too far. If something's a block or two off the trail, it's good, but some of these places are a mile off. I'm not going to walk a mile to go get food and come back for a mile. I may feel differently once I'm hiking. Food is definitely a big lure, but this weighs 8.9 pounds and it has 12 dinners in it and probably about 10 days of breakfast and snacks in it. And like I said, I just have a lot of gear that I've acquired over the years, and I have a big bin that I keep food in, and it's just been getting more and more as I keep buying stuff to show or go on trips, and trips get cut short, or I end up not eating everything I think I'm going to eat. So I'm hoping that I'll actually use a lot of these dinners that I have. They're all dehydrated meals that you just add water. I think I only have one of them that I took a ramen noodle. Everything else is usually like a pouch with food already in it, so it's self-contained. To mix it in the pouch, I can get rid of it. I'll probably keep one of those pouches so I can reuse it to make food another day. Other than that, the good thing is that because I'll be walking through a lot of campgrounds, I anticipate there being garbage disposal available, so I won't have to carry a lot of garbage for several days. So I think I'll be able to eat and throw those garbage away. So that'll lighten my pack significantly. So like I said, 8.9 pounds for roughly 12 days of food. I'll probably have to eat out once or twice, and I'm anticipating getting snacks for a couple of days along the way. So that's well below average. I don't think I'll be eating enough calories some of the days, but I'm hoping actually to help me because I'd like to lose some weight. So already carrying enough. So that'll help me out. Without the food in, the pack feels really great. I'm opening up the liner now that I'm using as a liner. It is actually an airplane traveling case for the pack, and I'll show that later. Inside, the other thing I'll be doing is I have my first aid. This is more like supplemental stuff. I'm bringing stuff like sunscreen, an extra pair of glasses, some insect and tick repellent, repair kit for my sleeping pad. I have toothbrush, toothpaste, a pair of tweezers in case I get a tick or something, and that's really it for that. This is my actual first aid kit. I've significantly pared it down. The largest and heaviest thing, unfortunately, is I carry 2 EpiPens with me. Other than that, not going to worry about most of the stuff. I generally don't need to use stuff. That's the problem with the first aid kit. You carry it all the time, and hopefully you never use it. Additionally, since I'll be in a not-so-rural area, there will be opportunities. If I, let's say, got a cut, on day 2 or 3, the chances are by day 4 or 5, I'll come by a place where I could buy proper first aid stuff. So if I do run out, I feel like I always buy stuff. I probably could carry a lot less than this, but if you need something, you want to have it. And at least it can get me to where I need to, where I can get more. So that's why I'm carrying so much. Carrying a lot of KT tape, I'll use a lot. It's cheaper I already have it. I keep buying it. I buy in bulk. So I have enough, and I'm going to try and use up some of the ones I don't like too much on this trip, and then go to the larger ones which I do like. That's it. I'm carrying a little towel instead of a bandana. I'm going to use one of these little towels. It's from REI. It's a small microfiber, but it has a clip that can go on the back of the backpack, and it can dry as I walk, so I'll be using that as well. I decided right now to bring an extra set of clothes to travel in, and also if I need to do laundry and to travel back. Because I'm going to be hiking, I realize I'm going to smell, and if I only have one pair of clothes, I can't wash it and still have stuff to wear unless I'm going to sit in my rain gear, which is a possibility, but it's going to be hot. So I decided to bring an extra set of clothes, which is just going to consist of a lightweight pair of pants. They're lightweight, but they're heavy enough, unfortunately. But they're like performance gear. They're ripstop, and they're very, very light. They dry very, very fast. And I'm going to take that along with my fleece. This is a Patagonia fleece. This will be the heaviest thing I'm bringing. I don't expect to need this at all. But if it gets really windy or cold one night, down to the 60s, I might welcome to have this. I'd like not to carry it. It's not that heavy, though. It's only a couple of ounces, but I'm going to be taking it with me, and it's taking up room in the pack. A spare set of underwear, and I'm bringing the spare shirt, which is actually a hooded jacket, but it's so paper thin from Outdoor Research that I'm going to make use of it. It weighs, I think, 7 or 8 ounces, and I'm going to take this with me as a backup. So I can switch off or wash that really fast. It'll dry, in a couple hours, especially if it's out in the wind or the sun. But I'll bring that for the days that I am in town. I'll need to wash my clothes before I head back to travel. No one wants to sit next to me in a plane smelling like the trail. I am going to bring a small neck knife with me. It's a little larger than I would normally carry. It's still light because it's skeletonized. One is for obvious protection, but more importantly to cut open packages or food, meat, things like that, if I have. So I'll be carrying this as well. And this is going to go in the carry-on. This is going to go in the bag that I'm checking because you're not allowed to carry a weapon on the plane, obviously. But in the bag, it should be fine. Spare set of socks. I will be using those as I go throughout. I'm bringing my duplex tent. The only difference is I'm not going to take any trekking poles. So instead of trekking poles, I am carrying the fiberglass. I believe they're fiberglass, unless they're Kevlar lines. I think they're fiberglass. Poles that go with it to set up. So one for the front, one for the back. They're already the perfect height for this tent, and they're lighter than the trekking poles. So I'm not going to carry trekking poles because I don't think I'll need it on this path as I walk along. I like having my hands free anyway, but I've gotten used to using the trekking poles. But it is nice. My last hike I took, which the video is already made, but you won't see it until after this hike. I hiked without trekking poles, and I do like that. It's nice to have your hands free. That's it. I'm going to bring my Thermarest pad, the Neo Air. So I'll be bringing that. I'll have to inflate it by my mouth. I'm not bringing the pump. I'm also bringing a CoolMax adapter for my sleeping bag because it'll reduce the temperature and give it a better feel. Unfortunately, this is a little heavier. So everything adds weight. It's a trade-off, but comfort to me is important, especially if it's going to be in the hot temperatures. I can just sleep in this if I want and use my sleeping bag underneath me, and then as it gets cold, I can climb into the bag. If it's really hot, like in the 80s, 90s, I will probably just use this, and it has that cool feel to the touch, and it feels more like cotton would be, so it feels more comfortable. The sleeping bag, I'm not going to take my heavy winter sleeping bag. I'll be taking my Trek 1 Sea to Summit. This goes down to 35, 40 degrees. I've used it as low as 20 something with a liner, but for the warmer weather, I'll probably just lay on top of it. But it's a little heavier than my other sleeping bag, but it's not as warm. And I don't want a very heavy, winter bag on this trip. This is probably going to be more than warm enough. I'll probably regret having that anyway. And then I'm bringing my stove. Inside this, I also have a piezo lighter so that I can make a spark and start the fire or for the stove to cook on. However, I have no gas canister because I can't take it on the plane. So as I said, I'm going to get one of those at REI, which is going to add another close to, 8 ounces to my weight once I buy that. So, but everything is self-contained, and I'm going to use this to cook my meals every night. And as I said, this is the liner that I'm using, but it is actually an airplane carrying case. So it's a large case that the suitcase fits in, and it has a carrying handle. And what you can do is, much like all the Z-Packs items, it has a fold top that you then clip on with like this, and with the lock, the TSA approved lock, I'll be able to thread it through here and keep, as I always say, the honest people honest from touching my stuff. And, if TSA needs to get in, they can open it. But I can secure my gear so that someone won't open up my pack when it's in the hold of the plane or whatever. I guess, this is not going to keep anyone out where they want it. But this will stop them from being able to open it up. And that's the plan for that. So, and just to show you, I'm going to stick this in here so you get an idea of how it goes. The pack can be loaded in, fully loaded, as it says. I'm a little overweight on the pack because it's supposed to be lighter, but everything won't be in here. But this is it. What's good is, all your straps, all your stuff, you're supposed to take everything out of the pockets, but all the straps, and you can even put stuff in here because it is a big bag. But all those loose straps, those buckles, everything will be protected from getting caught in, belts, and as the luggage goes along the rack, it won't get caught in something and get ripped out, which is really the problem with all these gear. We have so many straps on them that they become a problem. So this keeps it all smooth. The only thing that's not good is this is sticking out, and hopefully this won't get caught on something if it's taut. I'll put my name on here with a piece of paper, and I'll use tape, clear tape, to hold it. I'll pick a nice surface and I'll put my name and my information on it, and obviously they'll put a tag on it. It'd be really great. I like Osprey. Osprey has a thing where you can actually cover it, but the straps stick out, so you can walk with it through the airport. So unfortunately, I'll have to carry it like this, and about 25, 30 pounds. It'll be a little heavy, but not too bad. Once I get to Washington, D.C., I can then take this bag off. I'll put it inside the bag, and I'll just carry it on my back as I walk around town. The only other thing I'm going to be taking is a small carry-on, and I'm really taking one of these drawstrings bags. I have more nicer bags, but they're heavier and they take up room. These drawstrings bags are extremely light. Let's face it, they're cheap. I don't like it, but I'm going to have to carry it with me, and I'll probably use this as a pillow. I decided not to bring a pillow, and I'm going to stuff this with my spare clothes, and I'll just use this as a pillow. What I'm taking with me in terms of other stuff is I have a bag full of medicine that I'm carrying. I'm going to be taking some anti-inflammatories for hopefully to keep my knee and my ankle from causing me problem. I'm going to have my buff, which I usually take every time, a hat, which I'm, almost always bring. I have decided to bring my InReach, Garmin InReach with me. I don't think I'll really need it, but it's good to have, and I can check in and it tracks my progress. So I'll probably take it with me. It would be nice really not to. I'm on the fence. I keep amending. I don't think I'm going to need it, but you never know. I'll be walking by myself, and if you don't have cell service, this thing will still work, and it can track me, and I can check it with my family with no issue. I'm going to be bringing a set of headphones. I've got my small I'm going to carry a MP3 player which I've preloaded with. I'll have some podcasts and some music on here. So this thing is supposed to last 80 hours. That'll save me use on my phone, so I don't have to use my phone, because I'm going to use my phone as my primary device to record and edit while I'm on the trail. I'm hoping to put a video up almost every day as I'm hiking along. So most likely at night, what I'll do is I'll get in the tent, edit my video from the day, do a wrap up, edit that, publish it, hopefully upload to YouTube, and then have it come out overnight while I'm sleeping, hopefully, or the next morning if I'm able to get reception. I am regretfully carrying 2 power banks, and these items you're not supposed to put in your baggage. They're a risk, so you're supposed to carry them with you. So I'll be carrying them with me. Plus, they're heavy. Unfortunately, this is like 2 pounds of battery bank. But because I'll be going at one point about 8-9 days in between hotels or hostels, I'm afraid that I'll run out of battery power because I need to record and I'll use my phone so much, as well as the next item, which is my gimbal, which I'm planning on taking because it does make, I think, the video much smoother. As much as I prefer not to carry an extra pound of weight, I think the penalty of the weight is well worth it for the quality of the video. So I'll be taking the DJI Osmo 4 and the clamp that goes with it, the magnetic clamp, which I actually love. That goes on my phone. The phone, it's a Samsung S20 Ultra, and I even went to a smaller, lighter case. This case is about 1/3 of the weight of the previous one, and it's thin, so it doesn't really protect it as much. And I've dropped and cracked my phone several times, like most of us. I cannot stand a cracked screen. It does have a little chip in it right now, but no cracks. So, because this clamp really doesn't do a great job with a thick case, it falls out. The smaller case is much better for the clamp. So and it's better for weight-wise. So I went to a smaller, lighter case that should work with that clamp much better. So that's how I'll be doing my video and recording. The only other item I have in this bag is a bag of cables and chargers. So extra cables, extra chargers. And when I get to where I'm going and I pack finally for the trail, I'll use the drawstring bag to hold the extra clothes so that it's not all over the backpack and loose. And I'll use it as a pillow as well, so it's multifunctional. So I've repacked my gear as it's going to be on the date that I carry it to travel. So I'm pretty much packed and ready to go right now. Last minute items I just have to put in will be, my ID and credit cards and maybe some cash that I'm going to carry. Other than that, I'm all set to go. This is how the bag looks ready for travel in this carrying case. I've even put the TSA lock on so that it's all set to go. So this is how I'm going to take it to the airport, just like this, and it'll be checked. The only thing I'm going to do is put my name on it in a marker. I will take this just as it is, and you can see it's pretty self-compact. It's got one carrying handle. That's the only thing I'm worried about getting caught in the lock, but it should be pretty fine to go on the conveyor belt and into the hold of the plane. And I weighed this just a second ago before I started this segment, and with my revised food bag, I took out 2 dinners to make it just a little bit smaller, and so I'm about 8 pounds of food, and this whole thing weighs about 22 pounds. I got 21.7. With the lock on, it's probably 22 or a little bit more. And then I'm going to carry this, which is all the electronics, and my ID and everything will be in here. So this will be closer to 5 pounds. So, but this is 4.3 pounds right now without my ID, without my phone, and my wallet and money and things like that. So altogether, these items as they weigh right now are 26 pounds. If I feel the wallet, the phone, I'm carrying it, so I'm not worried about I'm wearing it in addition to the clothes I'm going to be wearing. So figure about 26, maybe 26.5 pounds. And then with water, I'll be closer to 29 pounds. So I'll be under that 30-pound threshold that I'm looking for. Because this path is not so rugged, I feel that I won't have such a problem with weight and carrying a little extra. The enemy on this trip will be the grind of day-to-day walking and the fact that it's not very soft. It's a packed path. Secondly, I'll be battling the heat, I think, the humidity. That I think is going to be a problem. So 15 miles a day is my goal. Anything over that is, cherry on top, so to say. So that's all I've got. That's my gear that I'm taking. Like I said, not too many changes. I'm going with stuff that's generally for warmer weather because it is hot here now. The good thing is, as I progress, after the first day or two, when I'm eating my food, my pack will get much lighter. If I can actually use the majority of that food, I will lighten my weight significantly. So the pack will only become easier and lighter to carry as I progress along the trip. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, opinions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch my video. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for the kind comments and well wishes I've gotten over the past weeks. I try to respond to almost everybody's comment if it's actually something I can comment to, but I do appreciate you taking time to do that. So feel free to do that. If you feel so inclined, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you for joining me. Till we meet again.